Okay, I look like a crazy person, but just, I got something for you, okay? I just washed my face. We're gonna do this together. Something that I don't hear enough talked about. Everyone loves to talk about jumping timelines. They don't really like to share a whole lot about what that process actually fucking looks like. But I called in a new reality for myself a hot second ago. And boy, did that shit start to rock my world. And I finally put some pieces together this morning that I feel are worth sharing. So I'm like, kind of like psychic, kind of. I'm like psychic as fuck, and I got that fucking long sight, right? So it's tricky sometimes because I can sense what's coming in, but the journey there is what trips me up sometimes. So I've been getting synchronicity around things that are coming into my life and the vibe for a while now. But then what's ended up happening is even though I've been getting a lot of synchronicity around like more ease and more fun and more play and like all of these things that sound like so much fun, I have been being met with just challenge after challenge after challenge after challenge, trigger after trigger after trigger after trigger, and I'm just like, okay, these pieces are not lining up. What the fuck is happening? What I finally put together this morning was I'm starting to sense a pattern. Because I'm sitting with the triggers instead of avoiding them or suppressing them, I have really been sitting with them and looking at them one by one. And what I'm sensing a theme, I'm sensing a pattern of like, oh, I see what's happening here. In order to step into my new life and my new identity, which is actually just the most myself, we have to go through and trigger all these points where you created a story about yourself and about your life, about life in general, about how things are, that isn't true, that isn't you, actually. Which is not fun, because I've been getting triggered around money and abundance a ton, around my worthiness and skills a lot. But each time I'm noticing like, okay, why is this triggering? What am I telling myself about this thing? And is that true? Those are the questions that I'm asking myself. For example, the one that finally clicked, which this is probably like one of the least triggering ones, was I had a pretty rough nail day yesterday, which doesn't happen very often for me anymore. I've been doing this for a very long time. Usually people bring things in and I can whip that shit out, no problem. And even this design that this person brought in was not all that complicated, looking, didn't need to be that complicated to do. And yet it was a struggle. I had to, for the first time in a very long time, file off my work and redo it. Which, if you're a nail tech or an artist, you just know that that's just like, oh. And what happened is I noticed, like, the beginning of yesterday was like so great. There was a lot of good stuff. I thought this is gonna be a good day. And then it was like, after the nails, it was just a spiral downward for the rest of the night. And I'm like, what happened? We really took a turn for the worse here. And even this morning, I woke up and I was just grumpy and angry and sad. And I'm like, what is happening? What is happening? And I caught it. I was like, oh, here we go. This is a story again. This is another story again. Because I'm a little bit removed from this thinking, I was able to really catch it and dismantle it pretty quickly. But it was like, I remember I used to do this thing where when I was still learning, which I'm always still learning, but like really like in that stage more so than I am now. When I had a bad nail day and things didn't go as planned, I used to tell myself all of these stories about how, oh, I'm the fucking worst. I should just quit. Like, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Like, all this shit. And I was like, well, you know at this point that none of that is true. We just had one bad nail day. That doesn't mean literally anything about how good you are at your craft, whether you should be doing this or not. Like, it was just a bad nail day. That's it. That's it. We don't need to create any stories around that at all, actually. Imagine that. We don't need to create any stories and just accept it for what it was. You're a great nail tech. You're a great artist. You do great work, period. You just had a bad nail day. And that happens to everybody, even people who've been in the industry for a long time. Long time. So that was the one that put it together. Another example that I had, anyone that knows me is going to see that this is just fucking stupid. I was doing a thought experiment the other morning, where I was getting a lot of download information about just like my purpose here, what my next steps are, where we're headed, blah, 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 which was all very exciting. I was feeling really good about it. And then this little fucking old voice came in my brain. I was on a high. And this bitch came in my brain and was like, oh, are you sure I'm the right person for this? Are you sure that I can do it? Really? I think this is what I said to myself. I'm sorry, it's funny now. I think something along the lines of like, oh, I think I might be too plain Jane for that. I'm sorry, what? Like, the way that my own identity came at that thought like a fucking pit bull was hilarious. Because as soon as that little thought, that little limiting belief entered my brain, it was like, and it was like, what the fuck did you just say? Like, I know you did not just call yourself plain Jane. I know the fuck you did not. This is what it said in my brain. This was like, it was funny. I was like witnessing this thought process from a third party perspective. And it was like, you are literally the weirdest, most beautiful, like rare flower of a person. And you just called yourself plain Jane. I'm gonna need you to lock the fuck in. What do you believe about yourself? Yeah. Like, I was telling a friend this and she made a joke about like, who said that? Because that was the vibe. Who said that? But it's wild the way that we have these like really old like processing systems, these really old programs like running in our system, these really old tapes, these things that like literally like I said, I caught that so quickly that I'm like, that's not true. That is absolutely fucking not true. And yet it was there. And if you don't watch the way that you think, these things are just running rampant in your system and you're not even noticing it. And so this is why we have to pay attention to our thoughts, and this is why we have to pay attention to our triggers, because they're trying to tell us something. And this gave me the opportunity to dismantle that entirely, because that was old as fuck. That was like putting a fucking floppy disk in a 2026 laptop that no longer even has fucking ports for shit anymore, which we know we were all pissed about, but like that shit doesn't belong in there, right? That's not gonna work. And so this is where the shadow work is, you know? It's like when you get triggered, I challenge you to sit with yourself and check it. Why am I triggered by this? What story am I telling myself, or what I normally tell myself about what just happened? And then, is it true or not? And when you're trying to timeline jump, trying to step into a new reality, a new identity, be more yourself, this is how you do it. Is that I'm realizing that part of this is getting triggered so that we can dismantle old shit, so that you can fully be yourself, fully be this identity that is actually yourself, instead of the one that you've been, that was created from things that other people told us, from weird beliefs and stories that we created around the things that were happening to us and around us. And I'm telling you, this is the work. This is how I'm doing what I'm doing right now, because I was just telling my friend this yesterday, that I was like, it's wild the difference in how I look at myself today versus how I looked at myself 6 months ago. And that is how you change your reality. You change your reality by changing how you look and feel about yourself. And that changes how you make decisions, and that changes what manifests. And I really want to talk more about this, but I have to go. So that's all I got for today. Love you, bye.